Welcome back to From the Bench Airways. Always, it's Eric, and today we're going to do a deep dive on the 2023-24 Extended Series Young Guns Checklist. If you guys don't know, if you're new to the channel, I kind of do these every time now when a new flagship product comes out. We get some new Young Guns. I kind of go through the list and figure out who you guys maybe should look out for. And you guys can do your own research and look into it how you want. But obviously we know the Adam Fantillis, the Logan Coolies, well, you can go through them still. But sometimes you're like, oh, I didn't realize that guy was a first round draft pick. I didn't realize that this guy is lighting it up in the AHL. So there's lots of different things that you guys can kind of do. And sometimes it works out that it's like you start off with like a $1 Young Gun. And then all of a sudden by the end of it, they start playing, they get called to big leagues next season. And next thing you know, they're a $10 Young Gun because they're playing really well, or they're a $20 Young Gun, whatever it may be. So once again, just one of the fun things I like to do. It's kind of one of those things I always like to look at players anyways in their stats. So this kind of helps me and gets me ready for this Young Guns checklist. So we'll switch the camera around and get right into it. So here we go. First guy, this is number 701. In total, I guess I should say early on to this. Always kind of wondering about extended, because obviously it's extended. It's in the name. It's not, usually your big guys. There's some big names in this. This guy is obviously one of them, being Logan Cooley. But there's 8 first rounders in this extended series from different years and stuff. There's also 7 players that were drafted in the second or third round. So there is some upside to some of these players at the end of the day. But 701 in your Young Guns checklist is Logan Cooley for the now Utah Hockey Club. Used to be Arizona Coyotes, obviously. But he's a center, 2022 third overall pick. In 82 games played, he had 20 goals, 24 assists for 44 points in the NHL last year. So he made the trip up. He played every game. Awesome to see. And obviously, they started coming on at the end of the year, I feel like. But, that Arizona team, it's Arizona. There's everything else going on with them. They're playing in a college arena. How do you get excited for that? So I'm excited for Utah to see what they can do. You get a proper owner there, everything else. But 2022-23, University of Minnesota, 39 games played there, 22 goals, 38 assists for 60 points. There's a reason this guy was taken third overall. Big body, everything else you could kind of want from this guy. And he's kind of like that, staple going forward for Utah. Next up, number 702 is Ondrej Pavelec. Give me a second. Boom. There we go. Ondrej Pavelec for my Colorado Avalanche. Former Stanley Cup champions 2022. Obviously, congratulations to the Florida Panthers on their Game 7 win against the Oilers. That's actually kind of why this is a late video, because of all that. But essentially, he's a center. He's a fourth liner. 2 games played, no points. AHL had 61 games played, only had 10 points. So not a whole lot to write home about this. Once again, if it's not a good guy, I'm not going to sit and talk about them for a long period of time. Next up, 703. Another, you got some Eiffel Towers over there in the New York City. You got obviously Rempe, which didn't make the extended series checklist. Spoiler. I'm assuming he'll be in Series 1 next year. But this is Adam Edstrom for the New York Rangers. He's a center, 2019 6th round pick. I think Rempe was right around there too. 6'7", 234. He played in 11 games, had 2 goals, no assists. AHL, a little better, but still 40 games played. He had 11 goals, 5 assists for 16 points. So some big bodies over there with the New York Rangers, and Adam Edstrom is one of them. So next up, our second first round draft pick in this whole thing is Isak Rosen. Don't know if he's related to the chosen Rosen or not. Shout out Josh Rosen. But he's a Swede playing for the Buffalo Sabres. Right winger who in 2021 was 14th overall. So once again, you get these mid-round picks, these late-round picks in the first. You're like, oh, I forgot he was a first-round pick. This is why I kind of like to go through all this and do my little deep dive on it. So Isak Rosen, 21 years old still, super young. Played in 7 NHL games last year. Had a big goose egg. Okay, I'm gonna talk. We'll talk about that later, but there's a couple of things like that in here. AHL, though, he had 67 games played, 20 goals, 30 assists for 50 points. So AHL, just nothing, like it's nothing. Playing out there, almost a point per game. Playing early, not almost a point per game, but once again, can put up points in the AHL. NHL was struggling. Once again, young guy, that next level of competition. Sometimes it's a little harder, but Isaac Rosen, 14th overall. So he, once again, it's pretty good for a extended series. You don't always get that kind of pedigree, I guess. Next up, we got Robbie Jarventi for the Ottawa Senators. Left winger, 33rd overall. So just first pick of the second round. 6'2", Finn, played in 7 NHL games last year. Only got 1 point. But the AHL, 22 games played, 9 goals, 11 assists for 20 points. So he's actually almost close to a point per game. In the AHL, put up a point, I guess. So he's beaten out Rosen in his whole thing. But, another staple, maybe that's one of those reasons why you can, move out some of the guys. Obviously, Ottawa just got Linus Ullmark. Another big trade. Every year, they're just like, hey, who's our next goalie? If you're chasing every year trying to find a goalie, you're not in a good spot. You got to try to either build somebody up from the farm system, something, but it's an issue that the Ottawa Senators have for sure. But Robbie is one of those guys that he's could be a good piece to that franchise in that middle six. So next up, we got Angus Crookshank, another Ottawa Senator. There's a couple of these guys here. 2018 fifth round pick, left winger, and in the AHL, he had 13 games played, had 2 goals, 1 assist for 3 points. So nothing too crazy on him. Once again, I don't really go into these huge deep dives on these later round picks, but he's one of those guys that, once again, probably good, bottom 6 forward going forward. Next up, Samuel Laberge for the New Jersey Devils, 27 years old. He's a left winger, had 2 games played, 0 points. Thank you for making the list, Samuel. I appreciate your time in the NHL. You're a much better hockey player than I will ever be, but we're on to the next one. Ryan Winterton for the Seattle Kraken. Center, 2021 third round pick. He's 20 years old, played in 9 games. Another big goose egg. There's a couple of these where it's like played some NHL games, didn't get a whole lot of points or any at all. AHL, though, played pretty decent for being a 20-year-old in the AHL. It's kind of always a good test for me. It's their first time going from, a lot of these guys from junior. Obviously, some of the Swedes and Finns and stuff don't have that same. A lot of them are playing in like the men's leagues over there. But for a lot of the people playing the Q or the WHL or OHL, this is your first time playing against like men who have been doing this for a long time. There's people in there that are 25, 26, 27, 28, 30, whatever, lifetime AHLers. They know how to play a system. They're really good. They've been probably playing with that same coach for 5 years, whatever it is. So if you can actually do something in the AHL, it usually, for me, looks good going forward. But in the AHL, had 58 games played, 22 goals, 13 assists for 35 points. So put up some points. Like I said, for being 20 years old, to put up 35 points in 58 games, it's pretty good. Like I said, for being a guy. Another piece for Seattle. This year, who knows what happens? Does Matty Beniers come out of some shell? Only thing I'll say about that, I like Matty Beniers. I think he has a lot of good stuff going for him. The end of his rookie year, he also the last half, he wasn't that great. He fell off a cliff probably for the last third of the season for his rookie year, and then obviously last year it was just not good. So see what happens over there. They got Shane Wright, who was lighting it up in the AHL last year. He played, they're kind of taking it slow, which probably isn't a bad thing. Next up, we got our first goalie on the list. This is Cal Clank. That's how I'm going to pronounce it. It's CALLECLANC. That is card number 709 for the Anaheim Ducks. John Gibson, does he ever get moved? I know they've been talking about it for years. Lucas Dahlstrom will become the new number 1. Does he get a backup role? Who knows? But third rounder out of Sweden, didn't actually play in games from what I could see. Maybe it was just like warm-ups. Maybe it was preseason. I have no idea. But he's AHL. Okay numbers. 32 games played, 3.21 goals against average, and a .897 save percentage. Most times you want to get like over that 9-10 mark, or hover around it, to be kind of considered anything for a goalie. Once again, is younger, 2020 third round pick. I say that, but I guess I'd probably make him in the like 22, 23 range. But that's kind of when goalies start kind of clicking, especially in these AHL, NHL, whenever. NHL usually are like 24 plus. If any goalies play before that, they're like they're an anomaly essentially. But next up, Yuri Kulich for the Buffalo Sabres. Card number 710. He's a Czech center. He's 2022, 28th overall, so end of the first round. 20 years old, played in one game, 0 points. There's a lot of these. It's a fun part about extended. They like find out whoever played from like, 1 or 2 games, and they're like, hey, we're throwing you in here. AHL though, he actually has a pretty good stats. 57 games played, 27 goals, 18 assists, 45 points. So once again, putting up some points in the AHL as a young guy. You'll love to see it. Like that's the kind of stuff you want to see. Obviously, he's a first round pick, so he should have some of that upside. You don't see too many of the two-way forwards that can't really do anything out there getting drafted in the first round anymore. The guys that are like, he's a battering ram. He'll just go out there and hit a bunch of guys, and he'll play really good two-way. Now, you pretty much have to have some kind of offensive upside to make it to the first round. So next up, so we talked about Cooley at the start and all the excitement that was around him. Well, the other guy, there's a lot of excitement for, and really the peak of this, young guns crop for extended series would be Adam Fantilli, third overall, not first, not second. In a lot of other years could have been first overall or second overall, but obviously with Connor Bedard, that's not going to happen. But he's for the Columbus Blue Jackets. 19 years old. He played in 49 games last year. Got a little banged up, so missed, was half the season. But had 12 goals, 15 assists for 27 points. I don't know what you do. Like the Columbus Blue Jackets and everything that goes on with them, they just hurt my head. Essentially that's the easiest way to put it. They just hurt my head. Like the whole Babcock thing, everything else. They just got... the guy, Todd McClellan, former coach of the Oilers and the Kings and the Sharks and everything else, so actually has a winning percentage. They brought an adult into the room. So they're going to have an actual NHL coach next year. Probably a lot better for, guys like Adam Fantilli, guys like Kent Johnson, all these guys that, they're hoping to build up. Probably good to have an adult in the room that knows what he's doing, that has been there, done that. I'm not always a big fan of the revolving door of head coaches that you have in the NHL. It's kind of annoying, to be honest, that it's just like the same guys over and over and over again. But I think in this case, with this franchise, you almost need it right now because of all the stuff that's gone on. So Adam Fantilli, though, like I said, 27 points in 49 games. Not the best, but, not the worst either. Michigan, year before, 36 games played, 30 goals, 35 assists for 65 points. So he put a bunch of points in college. Obviously, Logan Cooley did the same. There's a reason why they're taking, both third overall from their respective draft classes. So, like I said, it's nice to see it. I think he'll be good for many, many, many years to come. Like I said, just need to get some adults in the room over there in Columbus. So Fantilli, number 711 is the card number for Adam Fantilli. I can say I wasn't sure how I felt about Fantilli because I kind of wanted Fantilli or Cooley to be in Series 2. But I'm kind of glad they're not now because I feel like they would have lost a lot of their value, like a Leo Carlson, who obviously went second last year. One pick ahead of Fantilli. his cards dropped off to nothing. Carlson played pretty well last year. He's a second overall pick, but I almost feel like that Bedard hype kind of lessens it, which we'll get into that at the end of the video. Everything goes on with Bedard in this whole extended series. Number 712, we got another goalie. This man's Magnus Atrona for the San Jose Sharks. 2018 fifth round pick. 9 games played, 1-6-1, had a 471 goals against average, and a .859 save percentage. Like, they were not good. Let's just call a spade a spade. There's a reason why they got Celebrini, or they're gonna get Celebrini in the draft in the coming days. But that's a hard. I don't know if I'm picking up any Magnus Chirona San Jose Sharks cards. That's a hard one. So next up, a guy that I didn't realize was as old as he is. I thought he was a little bit younger, but Martin Pospisil for the Calgary Flames. He played in 63 games last year. He was a 2018 fourth round pick, 6'2", 24 years old. In 63 games, had 8 goals, 16 assists for 24 points. I thought he had more points than he did. Could have swore that guy scored like 40 points. B, did not realize he was 24 years old. What was the other part I forgot? Yeah, 24 years old, and I thought he put up more points. I guess that's my point. So, a building block over there. It's hard for me to say anything right now because my guy, Jacob Pelletier, obviously had a terrible season over there for the Flames. Getting injured, trying to come back, not playing well, not playing at all. But like I said, Martin Pospisil, like I said, was surprising. I thought him and another guy on this list both thought they were younger than they are. So next up, we got Yaniv Paretz, goalie for the Carolina Hurricanes. Piotr's there, Freddie's there. Once again, don't think this guy's probably going to get in. He played one game. He had 13 minutes, so probably a game in relief because I don't think he let in a single goal. So, got a couple 13 minutes. He's an ECHL goalie though, so essentially he must have been a call up, something else. But he's an ECHL goalie. That's kind of. He's 24 years old, and like I said, hasn't really played a whole lot in the AHL or anything. So we'll move on. Like I said, they got their kind of goalies cemented, I think, at the top. Next up is Yuri Smejkal. Smejkal? Smejkal. I don't know what to tell you. I'm trying to figure out names here. Ottawa Senators, he's 27 years old. Thank you for showing. I spent too much time trying to sound out your name for you being 27 years old. Next. Sam Malinsky, defenseman for the Colorado Avalanche. Once again, 2022 Stanley Cup champions. Congrats to the Florida Panthers. Sorry, McDavid. You got to have a point in the last 2 games. You just got to. Sam Malinsky, though, 25-year-old D-man, thought he was younger. Could have swore. This guy was like, I was all excited for this guy. I was like, man, when I remember watching him come up, I was like, man, we got another D-man that can like move the puck and everything else. Is half decent and has some confidence in him. Yeah, it's because he's 25 years old. So I thought he was like 21, 22, but not the case. NHL, he had 23 games played, 3 goals, 7 assists for 10 points. So as a D-man, as a rookie, a right shot D-man, to have, 10 points in 23 games, that's pretty good. A lot of, NHL D-men would be like, hey, that's essentially on pace for like 35, 40 points. A lot of NHL D-men would be like, that'd be awesome. So got to give him props for that. But once again, he is 25 years old. Good. We need extra guys back there. We tried Bo Byram for Casey Middlestad, who we resigned, but on to the next. But next up, another one. Ivan Miroshnichenko. We got Ivan. Ivan here plays for the Washington Capitals. Getting back into some first round draft picks through all this. 20th overall, left winger. He's 20 years old as of February, so played all of last year as a 19-year-old. NHL had 21 games played, 2 goals, 4 assists for 6 points. So once again, you're kind of hoping for a little better. but he's 19 years old, playing in the big leagues, playing on a team where Washington also isn't. They're kind of an odd team, right? Old guys, the old guard coming in and out, being hurt, not being hurt. It's an odd team. I'm trying to figure out what's going on. Now they get PLD because of that trade for Darcy Kemper, but trying to figure out what they are. But once again, could be good going forward. AHL last year, 47 games played, 9 goals, 16 assists for 25 points. So 0.5 points per game in the AHL. Once again, could hope for a little better. But he was 19 years old. If you're 19 playing against, like I said, fully grown men and you're doing that good, all the props to you. So once again, Ivans could be a guy to look for if you're looking for the next big thing. And maybe he starts becoming the guy that just starts dishing everything over to, Ovechkin on his quest, right? So maybe all of a sudden, he's the next Backstrom or whatever it is. Like I said, 20th overall, I like it. Draft pedigree. Next up, we got Linus Karlsson. Love this picture. Just the one leg up, fist pumping. People are cheering on in the background. For the Canucks, 2018 third round pick. The center is 24 years old. 4 games played, 0 points. But in the AHL, 60 games played, 23 goals, 37 assists for 60 points. So point per game, literally 60 points in 60 games. He's a point per game player in the AHL. Give him props for that. He's still not super young, but he's 24. So he's kind of on that edge of, is he a career AHL player or is he going to be able to make that next step to be an NHL player? Just again, hard to crack that lineup. You never know what happens through the draft, through free agency, through trades. Trades have been going pretty good so far. So it's my time. I love trade season. I'm a very big in free agency, seeing people bring in. Like when I play like sports games, I'm the franchise mode guy. Like I like to build it up. Like football, usually I send the first season, and then I get right to the draft, and then I can start molding my team through the first off season. It's what I like to do. So this is my time of year that I really enjoy between the draft and between free agency and stuff. So Linus Karlsson, like I said, see if he can make the jump next year. He is a little older, so you get to that 24, 25-year-old range, and you're like, do I really want to try to invest in this guy? Probably not for a forward. But next up, Ryan Johnson. No, not card collector 2. This is the Buffalo Sabres D-man who's left shooting. Number 719 in your program. 2019 31st overall. So end of the first round. 22 years old. 41 games played last year. 7 assists, 7 points. So no goals. Not a big point guy, even in university. So he played at the University of Minnesota back in the day. Anywhere he's played, not a big point guy. He runs into the issue of you have Owen Power there, you have Rasmus Dahlin there, you have Bowen Byram there now. You have, who's the other guy they got? Big D man. You have the other guy there. So it's for me, his hobby love just can never, he's a D man, so it hurts him anyways. But now you're 5th or 6th on the favoritism list, essentially. That's why I liked Bowen Byram, but it's why I never really went and bought a bunch of Bowen Byram cards, because I was like, hey, Cale Makar's there. So if Cale Makar's here, then where can you get to? Because Cale's going to be the number one. And yes, Cale's a very high number one for his prices compared to anybody else. So I was where does Bowen Byram get? This guy is running into the other issue. It was actually my issue with Bowen Byram getting traded to Buffalo. I was like, oh, maybe his, you kind of almost hope that if he gets traded, he goes somewhere where oh, you were this second pairing D-man. Now you get a chance to potentially go to be the first. Well, you're not bumping out Owen Power and Rasmus Dahlin. So he kind of has that same issue still. But Ryan Johnson, like I said, just probably not going to be a point guy, but an NHLer. So if you like him, if he's a player you like, grab him. Like I said, looks like he will be a NHL player going forward. Next up for the Montreal Canadiens, we got Emil Heineman, left winger, 2020 43rd overall, so second round. 22 years old, had 4 games played, 0 points. Once again, you're going to hear there's a lot of it. When I did the whole thing, I think I wrote down the other day, it was like 500 and some games played, 580 some games played, and 100 and something points for this whole crop. And then if I took out Fantilli and Cooley, the numbers got even worse. So AHL, though, not bad. 48 games played, 15 goals, 14 assists for 29 points. So he's younger, but it's the same thing. Montreal. How many guys can you really get to have someone like you there? It's like probably not a ton of upside there with, Cole Caulfield, Slafkovsky, Nick Suzuki, the list goes on. Even Owen Beck, I'd probably buy more Owen Beck before I buy Emile. Next up, we got Louis Crevier for the Chicago Blackhawks. D-Man is a 2027th round pick, 24 games played, 3 assists for 3 points, no goals. AHL, 41 games played, 3 goals, 8 assists, 11 points. Same thing. Even if he gets a little better, what's his huge upside? Like Kevin Korchinski's probably got, obviously has the upside there over him. When you're talking about young defensemen. So, and then obviously you have Seth Jones, who I don't know if anybody actually likes Seth Jones. His card prices don't. People do not like Seth Jones for his card prices. So, but there we go. That's Louis. Next up, number 722 is David Garand for the New York Rangers. Goalie. Actually has pretty decent stats in the AHL last year. He's 22 years old. He's a 2020 fourth round pick. Had 39 games played last year in the AHL. 16, 17, and 5 was his record. 303 goals against average and an 898 save percentage. So not the best. Same thing though. I was going to say Lundqvist there. Shesterkin's there. So, the chance of him ever getting a chance, not very good. Former Team Canada goalie, everything else. So maybe he gets a chance down the line. Maybe he gets traded somewhere else. But, maybe it's one of those ones you stash him away for the future. Next up, we got Marco Johnstone, Penguins, 28 years old. He's a right winger. He played in 1 game, had 0 points. Once again, way better hockey player than I will ever be. Way better. But 28 years old, 1 game played, 0 points. We're not going to spend a ton of time on him. Goalie for the Leafs. Obviously, they just re-signed Joseph Woll. Former extended series card, young gun for Joseph Woll. Dennis Hildeby, goalie, who was 2022 fourth round pick. Played in 41 games last year in the AHL. 21, 11, and 7. 241 goals against average and a 913 save percentage. Okay. I see you, Dennis. So once again, could be a guy. Maybe for the Leafs in the future. Maybe for somebody else. Once again, goalies are one of those ones. I say it all the time. So you just got to find the right guys. You pick them up and you put them over there on the side and you're like, hey, this is my guy. I'm just going to put a couple of these aside. I'm going to pick them up for $1. I'm going to find them in dollar bins all day long. And then I'm just going to start, when all of a sudden he goes traded somewhere, maybe I got $10 into this guy. Maybe I got $20 into this guy. But also goes from a $1 young gun to a $10 young gun, like a Silovs for the Canucks this last year, like was it Kier Schmidt or whatever his name was, the guy for the Devils, who is a guy, Samuel Urson for the Flyers. So once again, it doesn't take much to be like a $1 to $2 young gun until all of a sudden for a goalie, if you become the guy. Joseph Woll wasn't a big young gun. Stuart Skinner wasn't a big young gun. But all of a sudden they start playing, they get the starter job somehow. Can happen. So next up, Jaden Struble. I only got a couple left, by the way. Thank you guys for watching. I know this is kind of boring, but I really try to get, once again, all the information out to you guys of who these guys are and let you kind of make your own decision. But like I said, I would rather do this and listen to me rather than try to look it all up myself. So Jaden Struble is for the Montreal Canadiens. He's a 2019 46th overall, so second round pick. D-Man had 56 games played last year, 3 goals, 7 assists for 10 points. So same thing, not going to have that high-end upside. There is so many young defensemen. Caden Gooley, Jordan Harris, Wi-Fi. You go through the list. Like there's a decent amount of young D-men over there. So I do wonder if that's a turtleneck. All the pictures I look, maybe it's just the neck guard he wears, but it looks very like Atomic Mechanics is to me. So, but anyways, there's Jaden. Next up for another one for the Seattle Kraken, Riker Evans, 2021 35th overall, so second round, start of second round. 22-year-old left shooting D-man. I don't really know of a whole lot of D-men over there with Seattle, but 36 games played last year, 1 goal, 8 assists for 9 points. It's not bad for a young 22-year-old D-man. AHL, 25 games played, 2 goals, 13 assists for 15 points. So doesn't look like he's going to be potting a bunch of goals for you, but could be an assist machine. Could be, setting guys up, everything else, moving that puck up. So could be an option for them going forward. Like I said, I don't know of any good young guns for D-men for Seattle right now. I don't think I know of any. If you guys know of a good defenseman for the Seattle Kraken that I missed, this could be like the first decent one. So, speaking of decent, we had 2 third overall picks. This is the highest drafted player on this list. Second overall, Simon Nemec from the New Jersey Devils. Obviously, just got Jacob Markstrom over there. That could be a big thing for them going forward. That was obviously a huge issue for the Devils last year, was their goaltending problems. But 2022 second overall. So Logan Cooley went, or Slav went, Nemec went, then Cooley went. 20-year-old right shooting D-man. That's what everyone wants. Everyone wants that right shooting D-man. 60 games played last year, 3 goals, 16 assists for 19 points. Hey, 20-year-old putting up 20 points. Not too bad. AHL, 13 games played, 2 goals, 6 assists for 8 points. So over, half a point per game in the AHL, a third of a point per game in the NHL. So, but lots of upside. This guy, there's a reason why he went second overall. Big bodied, moves the puck well, skates really well, everything else. They really got hurt from both goaltending and Dougie Hamilton going down last year. So see what happens with him. But once again, highest drafted player on this list is a D-man. So once again, I was surprised. Like, you just forget names. Like I said, I totally forgot that Isaac Rosen guy was. Once again, 2 left. We got Georgi Merkulov for the Boston Bruins. Undrafted, 23-year-old center. It's 5'11", 4 games played, 0 points. But you're like, why are you actually still talking about this guy? Shouldn't you be on the next slide? AHL last year, 67 games played, 30 goals, 35 assists for 65 points. That's intriguing, right? You get a point per game as a 23-year-old. Yeah, I understand he's getting a little bit on the older side of the prospect, but 65 points for anybody on a team that is going to have some changeover, right? With Bergeron being on last year and everybody else going, they're not getting younger over there. So they're going to have to start moving guys around. Past is there still, obviously. Brad's there. But I said they're going to be moving guys in and out of this lineup. So maybe he gets a good shot. And last but not least, Matt Savoie for the Buffalo Sabres. 2022 9th overall pick. So 1 game played last year, 0 points, 5'9", 179 pounds. So he's a little bit on the smaller side. WHL, so he played in the Western Hockey League last year. He had 34 games played, 30 goals, 41 assists for 71 points. AHL, he went and put up 6 games, 2 goals, 3 assists for 5 points. So, hey, once again, I know it's a very small sample size. Obviously, he can score like 2-3 points in a game, and it looks like it's pretty good over like a 6-game stretch. But 5 points in 6 AHL games, still nothing to, nothing to scoff at, I guess. So Matt Savoie, number 729. I don't know if there's going to be a checklist for this one. There's no 730 from what I see. There's nothing announced. So maybe it should be a Cooley and Fantilli. That has to be it, right? Like, how do you not do Cooley and Fantilli? Or maybe do Nemec. You do a triple one. You go back to the days of the Seth Jones and the Nathan McKinnons and Yakupov, right? Is that who it was? They had a couple of them over the years. I think McDavid's year was the same thing. They had like the triple. I think that's the same thing for Hedman, Tavares, and Duchesne. I think their checklist is the triple. So maybe they go back to the triple. Maybe they do like a Nemec, Fantilli, Cooley thing. Obviously, in this, you do have, you have these young guns. The big chase is not intelligent, but there are a bunch of Connor Bedard cards, potential hits. So there's the Canvas Young Gun, which, by the way, if you do the math, it's 1 in 5 cases. Not boxes, cases. Just put cases. That is 60 boxes. That's your chances of hitting a Bedard Young Gun Canvas. I'm going to be one of those dummies that spends too much money on this. You do have the chance at his Young Guns acetate, which is going to be crazy expensive. They have Young Guns acetate for everybody. They are always a very hard thing to hit unless they changed it. You're also going to have autos in here. There's Black Diamond autos in this. Let's see if I can pull this up real quick. Black Diamond autos. Rookie Gems autos. Inserts. Bunch of other stuff in this. So, autographs. There we go. Yeah, Black Diamond, Emerald autos. So, out of 10. You got Snow Spray ones. But yeah, a bunch of different stuff. Obviously, you have the retro Young Guns, which is always a fan favorite. I like them. Other issue you run into this though is the first round draft picks. So we'll get into them real quick, but they have all the first round draft picks that have their own card, and they're going to replace some of your Young Guns in this. So usually you get 6 Young Guns in a box. Note, last year they changed it so you get 6 Young Guns or first round rookie cards. Ask me how happy that makes me. Not very at all. First round rookies, so you have, 730 is, they don't have a checklist for this. Because 730, you have Pavel Mitnikov, John Beecher, Tyson Forster, Marco Casper, Ryan Johnson, Leo Carlson, Connor Zary, Simon Edmondson, Zach Benson, Connor Bedard, Matt Coronado, Adam Fantilli, Askarov, Pelche, Savoie, Grieg, Mackey, Samskevich, Logan Cooley, Kevin Korchinski, and Luke Hughes. Young Guns checklist. There it is. Young Guns checklist is Adam Fantilli and Logan Cooley. It's number 750. So that makes more sense. So yeah, once again, lots of different stuff. Bedard is the chase. Again, your chance of hitting one, very slim and or none. Just keep that in mind. So hopefully you guys enjoy this. Like I said, I know it's a super long video. Way longer than I thought it was. I ramble a lot. Imagine me doing 50 of these instead of just 30. So hopefully you guys enjoy it though. If you guys are opening up extended series, let me know in the comments. And for Eric or from the bench, we'll talk to you guys later. Bye guys.